some hot gossip. This only came out, just Cher mentioned this to me when we were across the street at Sullivan's. We started talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? This is an all-comedian show today, except for Frankie.
Actually, Andrew's a porn star guest.
Right, of course. Yeah.
I'm just not a comedian, that's it.
Nobody say the N-word. We don't want you to storm off, Andrew. So this is like hot, juicy comedian tea. So I guess this came out, and I think we may have sent the video to Drew at the booth. So this came out, what, this week, last week?
Yeah, this week.
There is a guy, there's a comedian named Pete Stegemeyer.
Yeah.
And he believes that Mark Normands stole one of his jokes. And so let's watch this video. I think he does a side-by-side breakdown.
Also important to know, Pete Stegemeyer is a veteran, so if you care about this country, you will be on Pete's side.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Mark Norman never fought for the troops.
I noticed that women treat puppy stores the same way that guys treat strip clubs. Like, you go there and you like walk by and you're like, well, they've had a terrible upbringing, but oh, they're so cute, why not? They're like, welcome to Few Minutes Heard. And so you go in and all of a sudden Roxy's pawing at you, and you're like, she really loves me. And so $2,500 later, you bring her home, and all of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I did a good thing. I rescued her.
It's a woman's motor running. Remember, I took my girl to a pet shop once? Holy shit, ladies, the pet shop. That is your strip club. My God, a woman in a pet shop's like a horny guy at a strip club. You walk in, you can barely handle, like, oh my God, I want to touch them all. I'd be like, hey, relax. Some of these are in broken homes. They might attack you. She was just going down the line like a horny guy. That one's beautiful, that one's gorgeous, that one's perfect. That's my favorite. I like that one the best. The manager's like, yeah, that's Roxy. Everybody likes Roxy. Yeah, bring over Roxy. Bring over Roxy. They bring Roxy over. They go to a private area. She got rocks on her lap. She's like, I swear to God, she's in love with me. I'm like, no, she's looking for a better life. Come on. Yeah, all right. Oh, there you go. All right.
Is Roxy a common stripper name?
I don't even, God, I don't know.
It's nice and catchy, like a nice quick.
I haven't been.
Roxy is
So
the
many strip
perfect.
clubs,
It's
I
the
would know.
perfect name to be for a dog and a stripper.
And
There's a lot of dog names that wouldn't work for a stripper, or stripper names that wouldn't
So
work.
true.
Yeah, for
Honey.
a dog. Amber is like more of a stripper name than a dog name. Honey,
Muffin.
Sugar.
Mom wouldn't work.
No.
Mom.
And we are lucky enough, and I know he's pressed for time today. We were actually able to get Pete to call into the show, and he's on hold right now, so I want to make sure that we get to talk to him because I want to hear what he feels about this whole situation. Pete, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hello, Pete. Thank you for calling in on such short notice.
Thank you for serving our country as well.
Yes, thank you for your service. So
Well, thank
immediately,
you.
we're already on your side since we heard that you were a veteran.
Fair enough. Thank you.
So, Pete, give us a little background. When did this first come to your attention?
So I actually found out about this in, I want to say January of this year, because the special, I think went up like January or December 30th of 2021. And so I found out because I like turned on Netflix, tuned in to watch like one of the specials, and as I was scrolling through, I saw the description of the joke in the special.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh man, like that's crazy. I have a joke that also compares, pet stores to strip clubs. And I watched it and I'm like, oh shit, okay. Like down to the name.
Yeah.
Like same points in the same order with the same name. Like it's.
So what was going through your mind? Like, what was your initial feeling? Were you like you were like, what the fuck? He stole this from me. Like, what were you feeling as soon as you heard the joke?
I mean, as soon as I heard it, like my heart sunk. Like, because it was just, as I was like watching it, like as soon
Pete's
as I heard
also
the first
very
one-
overweight.
That's true. I mean, my Purple Heart is more of a diagnosis.
There you go.
That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, of course, your heart sinks, and you're not some open micer either. You've been doing comedy how many years now?
I mean, I've been doing it like since the army. Like my first show I did was like around a garbage fire in like actual Afghanistan. So that's
where all the bombing came from.
Exactly. I mean, it's been 10, 12 years or so, and I started in Afghanistan, was stationed in Fort Knox for a bit. So I did a lot of the stuff in Louisville, got passed at the Improv there, deployed again, went to South Korea, found shows to do in South Korea, and then moved to New York. And then I got passed at West Side Comedy Club. I got passed at StandUp New York. So,
wow, yeah.
I mean, I've been
around.
doing it for a bit.
What's the Afghani comedy scene like?
Everybody bombs no matter what.
Yeah, it's easy if you have a literal captive audience, but other than that.
Oh my God, holding people hostage just to do comedy is a great idea. So how old is this joke about comparing pet stores to strip clubs? Do you know when you first started doing it?
Yeah, I first started doing it the first time I ever posted it was May of 2016. I posted it as a stand-up shot on Reddit.
Okay,
and
I remember those.
It went to the front page of Reddit. It exploded, and then it got shared by the Chive and a bunch of those aggregator sites.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people saw it, and then I did it at some shows at the Stand, where the video is.
Right, and that's the old Stand, so that's how you know that's an older joke.
Yeah, that's old Stand. That I believe was August of 2016.
Wow. So have you contacted Mark Norman at all about this?
So, once I saw this, I went to my manager, and my manager's advice was basically to have him contact Mark's team. And to kind of handle it that way.
Let the Jews handle this.
Jews duke it out.
And so, yeah, I was told basically not to contact him by my management, and that he would contact him. And so he had been trying for, I want to say 3 months or so, since January or February of this year.
So they haven't been able to get a hold of these people in 3 months? That seems a little sus.
His team didn't respond.
He's got comedy shows to go to.
Basically until the video went up.
Okay. So that was the catalyst. You posted this last week, Sunday?
Yeah, I posted it Friday, I think.
Okay.
And they've responded now?
So his team is now in contact with my team.
Interesting. What an
really
interesting coincidence.
Red-handed.
Was you posting this video and doing the kind of blow by blow? Was that as kind of a result of them not getting back to you, or do you just want to do this anyway?
No, I mean, I don't want to I'm not trying to completely destroy anything. I'm not Steve Hofstetter. I'm not trying to post videos or destroy or
he loves that.
anything like that. But I mean, we have been trying to handle this through appropriate channels for months,
right.
And after that didn't happen, this was kind of viewed as okay, well, it's here, put it out, and just put the clips next to each other, let people make their own conclusions, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and you were saying that you have done a lot of shows where Mark Norman has also been at. You guys both get up at the Stand. You're doing a bunch of the same clubs I think he's frequenting at. And I don't, we were talking about this at the bar, and all comics on the show tonight, so we're thinking of, okay, well, we there are cases of a same brain or a similar line of thinking, but it's so specific to have you both use the name of Roxy is that's very specific. If you asked me, think of 3 stripper names, I wouldn't be saying Roxy. I would be Amber, I don't know, Chrissie,
Cher,
I would Cher Landman, yeah. So that is the part that gives me pause and goes ugh. But I don't, I know Mark is a really, I've always thought of him as a very hard worker and writes a ton. And but when you do point out that this is the same exact name and you point out the similar, points, it's oof.
Looks bad.
Looks bad.
I mean, I think this is a real fear that a lot of comics have, that something could seep into the back of your mind.
Yeah.
That's why every time I get a joke that I'm really excited about and it feels really good, I'm Where did I hear this?
It's
before?
why it's why I stay on my phone in the back of comedy shows and don't pay attention to anyone on stage. 'Cause I don't want to steal their joke by accident.
And that's the hard thing too. Is like you
Well, then
see
you gotta
so many.
worry too about osmosis and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
but I do
absorption.
try to like make sure when I come up with a joke, like I'll run it through Google and I'll be like, okay, are there similar
Smart.
premises and things like that. So I mean, I do. Like I think as a comic, like there is like that kind of like due diligence to do, like especially if it's like something that you're like really thinking about, like not just throwing out like an open mic or is like a one-liner one time.
Yeah.
I'd end up on some FBI watch lists if I did that, though. Just like Google, has anyone said the Holocaust didn't happen this
I
way
haven't- that-
before?
good for you, Pete, because I haven't thought to Google premises. Like I was writing for a show.
we
I
can
did this
tell.
I was writing for a show this past weekend. I was running it by like my boyfriend. He's like, "No, that sounds like a Pete Lee premise," and I was like, "Thank you for telling me this." It's like sometimes you just. You don't know, and you would like to think, but I don't know. Andrew, you had a point that you were trying to make.
Well, I just think like it's even harder like nowadays because there's so many different comedians. It's not like like there's not like there's only 5 comedians in circles. You'll be like at an open mic or some show or something, and there's just tons, and you'll hear like, and you'll have like this has happened to me before where I'll come up with a joke and I'll even tell it a few times, but there's just something like. I think I've heard, not even the joke, but like just the premise somewhere. There's something familiar about it, so I'll just stop telling it just to have my conscience clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Pete. What would you like for the end result to be for this? Because this joke is already out on a special of his.
I use it.
What would be a proper resolution here?
Roast
Yeah,
battle.
that's what's up.
Come to Comedy Fight Club, main event, Pete versus Mark Normands.
Mark just
That's a
tells the
solid
exact same
plug.
jokes he tells.
Oh my God. And what a horrible reputation. That's the last thing I think you want said about you as a comic. Like, I mean, a lot of people lost respect for Amy Schumer when all that came out, and there were so many instances of exact like copying of other people's jokes. So it's.
But I guess the thing is, it doesn't matter because she's still wildly successful. She's the number one
someone
top
got her
paid
pregnant.
woman.
That's how
And
successful
ultimately,
she is.
like, even though Pete's been doing this a while and he's like a veteran comic, like fucking now Mark Norman
He's a
has
veteran- he's a
has
veteran
this
and a
show
comic,
out on a
actually.
fucking special, man, and that like fucking blows. So it's like,
Yeah.
what?
What should Mark Norman do that would kind of make it okay?
Give
Like,
you a writing credit? Yeah.
Suck your dick.
Pay for the joke
Ooh.
and have you open for him.
I would say Netflix take my special down.
Yeah, Pete, what would you like to have happen?
That's like something that I'm still kind of thinking about, and like I feel like because this is like ongoing discussion, like I shouldn't really like talk about anything like that.
Oh yeah,
quite
yeah, yeah.
yet,
No,
but-
that's okay. Yeah, this is all so fresh too, and it's good. It's
That's why
good to
Chrissy
talk
wants
about.
you here, so you can say something you'll
No,
later
I
regret.
definitely did not have you call in to talk shit, but this is not about talking shit. Like everyone knows, like Mark Norman's like a pretty solid dude, and I don't think I've heard anybody. You do this long enough, you hear people mention the same names over and over as people who steal jokes, and they're mostly just like, oh, the local guy at this club in Jersey, or the local guy.
something, I don't know.
It's like I rarely hear of like New York comics really in the scene as like a joke stealer. It's usually just like somebody out at at a road club somewhere. So it could be interesting to see like what his team says. If he, I could see him just being like apologizing and feeling horrible about it.
Yeah.
But then again, like, right, what do you do? What do you do? I
Like,
don't
if
know.
you acknowledge it,
Yeah.
it's bad anyway. I mean, again, like I just feel that sometimes I guess it could be in your subconscious mind, like way in the back of it, but that's awful. That's like the biggest fear that I would have.
And it's also hard in Pete's position because you actually like to come out with this actually takes courage because, like if Mark were an asshole, which I don't think he is, he could
Pete's
be
been
like,
to-
he could be like, I don't know who you are, Pete. I've never heard of you. I've never like
Kiss
you.
my ass.
You think you're so special that I've heard that I'm listening to your jokes.
Yeah,
You know what I
Pete's-
mean? Like that I'm copying you. I'm Mark Norman. You know.
But Pete's been fighting the war on terror. I don't think this is the most courageous thing he's had to do.
I mean, I don't know. It's I think when I'm at a show and I see someone who has a joke that really impresses me, like I remember the joke and I remember who said it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the bit and I remember the person that said it.
So you can kill them and steal it.
No, just because like that's how I know the comics that I respect. I go, oh, I remember the joke you told about me.
So Pete, it's only fair that you just take one of Mark Norman's old jokes and start telling it, and I think you guys call it even.
Sort of ending your sets by saying you're Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Norman.
I would have to say Earthquake, though. You've seen what I
There
look
you go.
like.
Oh my God, are you on a submarine, Pete?
We're going down, actually.
That might be Frankie.
Down Periscope. Oh, okay. Oh, Frankie's here. He's been so good, not
Frankie, you
interrupted.
ever steal a weather forecast?
Steal a forecast.
It's going to be cooler on Wednesday. After that, then it's going to bring warm weather all across the eastern United States and Canada on Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, then the cold front's going to come through on Monday all across the eastern United States and Canada. Then the cooler air returns once again. And then it's going to bring lots of severe weather all across central states. And Texas is really, really hot lately.
Sure,
Down in San
it
Diego,
is.
California, it's really hot there right now. And Hurricane Cecil officially starts on June 1st, 2022.
Oh, we should do a hurricane season kickoff. Thanks, Frankie.
Oh man, that's us. I think that's a Pete Stegemeyer joke too.
Yeah. I think I heard Pete say that on stage at the stand. Yeah, Pete, I think ultimately this will be good for you because I think it raises your profile. I think people will ultimately have heard about you that haven't heard about you before. I think it's going to be like ultimately a net positive.
Yeah, you'll be the new Louis C.K.
Well,
I mean, and that's one of the things I'm trying to take from it is like, I know at this point I write at a Netflix level, and like that's like, that's a good consolation prize.
Yeah. Wow.
And you have your 1 hour special that's on YouTube, right?
You do?
So-
Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Let's shout that out. It's on YouTube. I guess I assume I'm Pete on your YouTube page.
Yeah, that's like the special it's called PTSD, and
fucking
it's
perfect.
like mostly. I'm working on like still editing it as an audio album. I might reshoot it as a video. Like now that I live in Nashville, I might. I'm trying to get it filmed as a special on one of the army bases around here for like an audience of the troops.
That's awesome.
But basically, the album is about like my time in the army, getting out, figuring out that I had PTSD, going to therapy about it, and hopefully if people listen to it and like they're like, oh, like maybe I identify with that, like maybe I should go see somebody. Like that's all I'm really trying to do with that is just kind of destigmatize getting help.
That's really great. I think that's a really great brand for you to like lean into because I can't think of very many other comics who like that's their thing,
Yeah, plenty of comics have PTSD, but not from war.
Right. Right.
Alcoholic
Locking their
families.
keys in the car.
Well, Pete, we wish you the best. It was, keep us up to date. Like, I want to know how this gets resolved, if at all. And yes, subscribe to Pete's YouTube channel, follow him on social media, and listen to the jokes that he does that Mark Norman doesn't do.
All right, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Pete.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
That's gonna suck if someone goes and listens and be like, man, the one Mark Norman took's the only good one.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. I know Pete. He is very funny.
So funny if you found out like he actually took it from Mark. No. Aw, no, that's crazy though. I remember when I was first starting out, I did a joke. Well, I have a long joke about waxing. It's about 10 minutes long, but there was a line which I don't say anymore. It's like, oh, do you have do the carpets match the drapes? No, I have hardwood floors. And somebody told me like, oh, Jamie Lee says that too. And you find a balance between like, okay, so I phased out that one line, but then I kept writing and made the joke like even more specific to me. It's like, tried to do like, okay, what's my second, third, fourth thought on this? And then maybe you can branch out from what most people are thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have like similar
Yeah, it's
thoughts
tough.
sometimes.
Especially so when I first started doing before I was doing stand-up, back when I was still wrestling, I used to post like my buddies on road trips would always just tell jokes, and I would post the jokes I heard like as a Facebook status, And then I started writing my own jokes, but I was like embarrassed that I was writing I wouldn't tell anyone I was coming up with my own jokes.
Oh,
So I would just,
why
like,
were you
post-
embarrassed?
I don't know. I was still wrestling. I had not thought
Yeah.
about doing comedy. So I would just post jokes that I'd heard. And then I started posting something I would come up with, but still kind of be like, here's another one I heard. And, but it would actually be one I came up with. And then when I started doing stand-up, I was like, for the first couple years, I was saying the jokes. I'm like, and I started Googling. It was like 2 years in, a friend of mine told me they saw one of my jokes as an internet meme. So I looked it up and I realized it's possible. A lot of the ones that in hindsight, I thought I had come up with, I may have
They got
heard.
yoinked.
Especially early on, I was very one-linery.
Okay.
And with that, a lot of jokes will come up as like a meme also because you're just kind of writing the same style.
Yeah.
People have showed clips to me of of jokes that like I had a joke once, and then I got a clip from another comic, and they go, "Oh yeah, he did this joke first, but I've never saw the comic perform." You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
totally
and you're like,
impossible.
okay.
But it was still just like I don't want people to think I'm a thief. You know what I mean?
I remember one time, it was like a couple of years in, I was at some open mic and I did a joke and someone told me that he's been on the road and he saw someone in Florida doing that joke. And I was so really new and he was just more experienced than me. So I was like, what do I do in a situation like that? And he said, whoever does it on TV first gets it. And I'm like, I feel weird about that. I'm just not going to tell the joke anymore.
Well, I think
that's
in
the
a way,
truth, too.
like it kind of almost motivates you to create an even more unique voice, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna create a point of view on something that no way other people have. You know, that way.
Get really
'cause, like
specific.
sometimes one of the reasons, like sometimes you end up coming up with something that someone says it's mine is because. It's just kind of a common thing people say.
Common
It's kind
take,
of
especially if it's news or
it's just-
politics.
it's
Like,
easy, joke writes itself kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's very
With topical stuff, it'll get there. And
hack.
and with
That's
well, even you'll see with topical stuff, if somebody just said the joke to you, you'd think it's funny, but then you see on Twitter like 30 people have the same joke the day when something happens. Also, with roasting, there's a lot of parallel things. There's only so many ways to call someone gay or a pedophile.
and you've heard them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Is that your chair, Andrew, that's so fucking squeaky?
Yes.
Is this the Gino squeaky chair from before?
squirmy guy. I'm sorry.
This is what happens when Andrew gets a desk seat.
Yeah.
I can't handle this responsibility.
Squeaky chair. So you've heard, there, and especially in roasting, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, and it was tough. There's been like one person who we caught who was stealing jokes in roast, specifically because he would DM jokes to people to recommend them that they do this joke, to help them out, and it would be a joke that
Someone
I
else
had done or other people had done.
Shit.
And so by talking to other comics, we kind of put it together.
Did you ever call him out?
Yeah, I did. I did reach out to him. He claimed he wrote all the jokes and he just sent the same joke to multiple people. Which, even if that's the truth, that's still bad.
How would you
but
do that? Yeah.
That's not a smart
Wait,
move.
he did a lot of fights, right? I
Yes.
remember he did a lot of fights,
Yeah.
but he never was really doing well at them, was he?
he got better once he became friends with better comedians. He his claim, his defense is still bad, but I also know for a fact that he's lying because I saw him do jokes that I had done that he had seen me do that he didn't give me. And other people had the same stories with him. So it's tough to be able to find someone because there's also a lot of people I've seen say the same joke someone else has when they may have been there for it. But I do knowing them and having seen them do it enough times, parallel thinking happens.
Yeah. You can pick out what's a parallel thought and what is okay, this looks like a lift.
And if you said it to any of them, they would feel bad about it. And if you before, I've had people reach out to me, has anyone said this joke about this person or this joke in general before? Because I've probably seen more roast battles than anyone.
You're like, but it's cool.
Or I'll say there's I haven't heard that version of it, but I've heard similar. But again, there are only so many ways to say things.
I think a lot of people also, they watch roast battles to kind of prepare for it. So once you've done that and you get the structure, you're kind of like, all right, what celebrity can I insert here?
Yeah.
And everyone would say, do a pun on this girl's name.
Yeah.
Do a celebrity pun.
And a lot of times